Hi, this is Linda, and we're going to practice the N400 application, the whole application. This is practice, practice, practice. So, let's go to the first one. What is your current legal name? What is the name that appears on your permanent resident card? Have you used any other name? You know you have the opportunity to change your name today. Do you want to change your name? What is your social security number? What is your date of birth? What date did you become a lawful permanent resident? What is your country of birth? What is a good daytime telephone number we could reach you at? What is your current physical address? What is your current mailing address? Where do you receive your mail? Were your parents married before your 18th birthday? Is your mother a U.S. citizen? Is your father a U.S. citizen? If they were U.S. citizens, can you please give their name, the country they were born, the date of birth, and the day they became U.S. citizens? Your ethnicity. Are you Hispanic Latino or are you not Hispanic Latino? What is your race? What is your height? How much do you weigh? What is your weight? What color are your eyes? What color is your hair? Are you working right now? Where do you work? How long have you worked there? What type of work do you do? Is this the only work you have, or do you have another job? Okay, let's talk about your trips. When was your last trip outside of the United States? Which country did you go to? How long was your trip? How many days? Why did you go? What was the reason you went on this trip? Have you ever taken a trip that lasted more than 6 months? What is your current marital status? Are you single? You've never been married? Are you married, divorced, widowed, separated, or was your marriage annulled? If you are married right now, is your spouse in the U.S. Armed Forces? How many times have you been married? If you're married right now, can you give me their names, complete name, their previous name, other names they used, their date of birth, the day they got married, well, the day you got married. Where do they live? Do they live with you? And is your spouse working? Is your spouse a U.S. citizen? And when did they become a U.S. citizen? If they were naturalized, like you're doing right now, what date did they become a U.S. citizen? If your spouse is not a U.S. citizen, what is your spouse's nationality? What country? Does your spouse have an A number, the number on a permanent resident card? What is the A number? Is your spouse a lawful permanent resident or other? Other is undocumented. Does your spouse have legal documents to be in the United States? Okay, let's talk about your spouse, your husband, your wife. How many times has your spouse been married? Then they want to know their names. Your spouse's ex, what is their name? What is their immigration status? The date of birth? Country of birth? What's their nationality? What date did they get married? And what date did the marriage end? And how did the marriage end? Was the marriage annulled? Did you divorce? Well, did they divorce? Did the spouse die? Was the spouse deceased? Or is there another explanation? Now let's talk about you. Were you married before? So we're going to ask you, what is your ex-husband, your ex-spouse's name? What's the immigration on your ex-spouse? What is the date of birth? What is your ex-spouse's country of birth? What is your ex-spouse country of citizenship? What date were you married to your ex? What date did the marriage end? And how did the marriage end? Okay, let's talk about your children. How many children do you have? So what we're going to need from each child, we're going to need the name, the date of birth, if they have a lawful permanent resident, have the A number ready or a copy of their legal permanent resident card. What country were they born? Where do they live? Do they live with you? Or do they live somewhere else? And at the bottom down here, it says, what is your child's relationship to you? So is it your biological child? Is it your stepchild? Did you adopt this child? Okay, here we go. Have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen? Have you ever registered to vote in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? Have you ever voted in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? Do you now have, or did you ever have, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country? Have you ever been declared legally incompetent or been confined to a mental institution? Do you owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes? Have you ever not filed a federal, state, or local tax returns since you became a lawful permanent resident? Do you file your taxes every year? Have you ever called yourself a non-U.S. resident on a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? Have you ever been a member of, involved, or any way associated with any organization, association, fund, foundation, party, club, society, or similar group in the United States or any other location in the world? If so, can you explain? Have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? Have you ever been a member of any totalitarian party? Have you ever been a member of any terrorist organization? Have you ever advocated the overthrow of any government by force or violence? Have you ever persecuted any person because of race, religion, national origin, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion? Between March 1933 and May 1945, were you ever associated with the Nazi government of Germany? Were you ever involved in genocide? Were you ever involved in torture? Did you ever kill or try to kill anyone? Did you badly hurt or try to hurt a person on purpose? Did you force or try to force someone to have any kind of sexual contact or relations? Did you not let someone practice his or her religion? Were you ever a member or did you ever serve in any military unit? Have you ever been in any paramilitary unit? Were you in a police unit? Were you in a self-defense unit? Were you in a vigilante unit? Were you ever in a rebel group? Were you ever involved with any guerrilla group? Were you ever involved in a militia? Have you ever been in an insurgent organization? Were you ever a worker or a soldier in a prison or jail? Did you ever work in a prison camp? In any detention facility? A labor camp? Or any other place where people were forced to stay? Were you ever part of a group, or did you ever help any group, unit, or organization that used a weapon against another person, or threatened to do so? What is a weapon? Did you ever sell, give, or provide weapons to any person, or help another person sell, give, or provide weapons to other people? Did you ever receive any kind of military, paramilitary, or weapons training? Did they ever teach you to use weapons? Did you ever recruit any person under 15 years of age to serve in or help an armed force or group? Did you ever use any person under 15 years of age to do anything that helped or support people in combat? What is combat? Have you ever committed, assisted in committed, or attempted to commit a crime or offense for which you were not arrested? Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever been cited? Have you ever been detained by any law enforcement officer for any reason? Have you ever been charged with a crime? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Have you ever been on probation, or have you received a suspended sentence? Have you ever been in jail? And how many days were you in jail? If you have any arrest, if you have any citations are tickets, or have you ever been detained, could you please give the information? Have you ever been a habitual drunkard? Have you ever been a prostitute or procured anyone for prostitution? Have you ever sold or smuggled controlled substances, illegal drugs, or narcotics? Can you name me 2 drugs? Have you ever been married to more than one person at the same time? Did you marry someone in order to obtain an immigration benefit? Have you ever helped anyone enter or try to enter the United States illegally? Have you ever gambled illegally? Have you ever received income from illegal gambling? Have you ever failed to support your dependents or to pay alimony? Have you made any misrepresentation to obtain any public benefit in the United States? Have you ever lied to obtain welfare from the United States? Have you ever given any U.S. government official any informations or documents that were false or fraudulent? Have you ever lied to any U.S. government official to gain entry or admission into the United States, or to gain immigration benefits while in the United States? Who is a U.S. government official? The person giving you the interview is a U.S. government official. Have you ever been removed, excluded, or deported from the United States? Have you ever been in front of a judge for deportation? Are you currently a member of the U.S. Armed Forces? If you are, have you ever been court-martialed? Have you ever been discharged from training? Have you ever left the United States to avoid being drafted in the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever applied for any kind of exemption from the military? Have you ever deserted? Did you run away from the U.S. Armed Forces? This is for men only. Men only. Did you fill out your Selective Service Registration Card? If you did not, why did you not fill out your Selective Service Registration Card? Do you support the Constitution and form of government of the United States? Do you understand the full oath of allegiance to the United States? If you do understand the full oath of allegiance, explain it to me. Are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance to the United States? If the law requires it, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? If the law requires it, are you willing to perform non-combative services in the U.S. Armed Forces? If the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction? Okay, this is the N400 application. Did you study it? So, if you studied it, do you know where the oath of allegiance is? The oath of allegiance is on the last page of the N400 application. So they might also ask you, have you ever been a spy? Do you know what fraud means? So be prepared. So this is just a quick practice on your N400 application. Good luck. If you have any questions, email me. Thank you. Bye-bye.